Hey up, here we are again with yet another millennial trash film. 4 in a row. Can't believe how many they're shoving at us here. Come on, Hard Gore, give us something good for once, please. This episode, we're taking a look at Switch Killer, also known as Trans-American Killer. This is a 2005 direct-to-video horror, directed by Mack Hail. Now, his name might sound a little familiar to you, and that is because he played the lead role in Nutbag that we covered relatively early on in the collection. Let's hope his directing is better than his acting, because not many people stood out to me in the list of actors in this. There's not too many. Most of them are unknowns, except for Jennifer Autry, who was in Neil Breen's Fateful Findings. Oh dear. And a guy called Rich Hopkins, who was a stunt guy. And we've noticed this trend a lot in these millennial trash horrors. Seem to have a lot of stunt guys acting in them. I don't know, it must have been an interesting way to get into the industry, I guess. Or maybe they were just willing to jump off buildings and they also went into horror films. Who knows, who cares? So, we hit rock bottom last episode, I said, with vampires versus zombies. We can't possibly get worse. At least be entertaining, that's all I want. Fingers crossed. Let's see how lucky I get, shall we?
She said she was watching Casablanca, and then I guess it happened.
Yeah? What'd you think?
I think you're a filthy slut who deserves to die.
That's the hard way. Primitive tools, and the fun begins.
The plot follows a woman who leaves her abusive boyfriend, runs off to Vegas, and finds out that she's a lesbian. Her boyfriend's having none of this though, so he has a sex change, moves to Vegas, kills all her friends to try and win her back. Right, where do we start with this one then? Okay. The usual stuff that I talk about. Characters, gore, cinematography, pacing. They can all easily be summed up with terrible. Absolutely awful. The only thing that stood out to me as being fun was the millennial trash emo rock soundtrack. That's it. The rest of it is terrible. Now, this film is 84 minutes long, and it ended, the plot finished at 65 minutes. So what happened for the other 19 minutes, you might be wondering? Well, after the film ends, it then proceeds to show us a montage of the film that we've just watched, with the emo rock soundtrack playing in the background. Then the credits roll. Then it intersperses the credits with, firstly, it is a mock advert that had been made for a shot in the background of the film. Then it plays a behind the scenes featurette, and then it plays a beauty pageant, which I can't even place. I don't know why that was happening. Honestly, I thought I was having a stroke. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought my brain was malfunctioning. It just starts throwing stuff at you, and you've just watched a fucking awful film, and you think, oh good, it's finished early, but no, it's not. Here's all this shit that we're just going to keep throwing at you. It is the worst example of padding in a film. We've seen it before where, the credits will go up really slowly and then it'll show behind the scenes afterwards. We've seen it, they're trying to pad the runtime out, we've seen it before. This is the worst example of that I have ever seen. Right. Now, there's obviously a bigger problem with this film. You know what I'm going to talk about here. You know what's coming. It's of its time, it's of an era, and on top of being transphobic, it also manages to be misogynist and homophobic. The trifecta. Surprised it didn't throw in a little bit of racism for a laugh. It's of its era, and it is an ugly, ugly reminder of the early 2000s and the views that people had. And I guess people still do in some places. Some people still have these views, and it's not great. Now, I don't think that this film was made with hate behind it. But what I do think it is a shit slasher film that has nothing to offer. So the only notable thing about it is this horrible, outdated trope that is harmful to a marginalised group of people. And you know what? Not into that. Can't be doing with that. It's like an annoying kid, I guess. That you can't really get angry at it. You can't get angry at this kid because it's acting up. It doesn't know that what it's doing is harmful and hurtful. And also what it is doing is cheap and childish and immature, and you know, there's not much thought behind it, and it's a bit absurd as well on top of it. So you can't take it too seriously, but you know what you can do with that child? You can ignore it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose to ignore this film because it's cheap, it's outdated, and it has pretty harmful tropes in it, if I'm honest. It doesn't come from a good place. As much as it might not be made with hate, I don't think it comes from a good place. And I feel that I shouldn't be giving this film any more attention than that, if I'm completely honest. So, let's wrap it up, shall we? Print's blurry. Same as usual shit on the disc. This is the cover. It looks cheap as shit, but all the information's fine. Honestly, even the case doesn't want to contain this film anymore, and the case is actually breaking apart and crumbling away rather than contain that film in it. Apologies again that this is a shorter review, but honestly I don't think it deserves any more attention than I have currently given it. I think I already feel dirty for having talked about it as much as I have. I can't believe we managed to find one worse than Vampires vs Zombies. We've gone worse than rock bottom in this series with this film. This is the worst in the collection so far, and it will take something major to top it, I think. Next episode, we are taking a look at... Oh, it's a white spine. Oh dear. Next episode, we're looking at Cold Grip.